What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a freelance artist journey. Hey, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can be informed the next time I release a video. And now, part 2 of my interview. Enjoy.
Have you experienced any other opportunities, or have any other doors or even windows been cracked open by you finally sharing with those around you, your peers, your Facebook friends, your family? Hey, I'm an artist. This is what I do. Check out my book.
Yeah, there have been a lot of positive responses to the book that came out or that I released. Just like yourself, there were a lot of old friends and family members that would, they would write a email or call or whatever, say, Jeff, I didn't know that you could draw like that. Why have you been just, sitting on it? What's wrong with you? And, I had to explain to them that, it wasn't something that I really identified as that big a deal. It's kind of like, yeah, I could sketch a little bit or I could draw a little bit. Doesn't everybody else? It's like we tend to think that what we do or what we know everybody else does or knows, and we don't think much of it. But yeah, a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people that said, hey, I need a family portrait done. I just finished a family portrait for an old friend of mine that he's going to surprise his family with for Christmas. And that's one of maybe 3 or 4 over the course of, the past year or so that I've done as a result of releasing the book and just being open about my talents. Aside from that, just the amount of confidence. That's the word I'm looking for. The amount of confidence that comes from, people sharing positive affirmation with you, it kind of pushes you further and it helps you to get to that next level. So, as a result of that, I have several portfolios up on the internet and, I'm constantly looking for new opportunities. And so, yeah, doors are opening but nobody would ever know if I didn't say anything. So it's like, you got to let it be known what you can do and not be afraid to say yes to people and to be kind of vulnerable because, if you think about it, you're putting your life into this piece of work and then you're going to show it to the world. And if, the fear is that they reject the art, and if they reject the art, then they're in essence rejecting you and your validation as a human being. So, it's a very intimate thing, but we've got to be willing to open up and to put it out there and to risk whatever that uncomfortable feeling might be, and just be willing to let it happen.
Yeah, I like the word you use, vulnerable. It really is about putting ourselves out there and just feeling the responses that get back, positive or negative, and everything in between.
Yes.
I'm going to throw out 3 phrases to you, Jeff, and I want you to tell me which one you resonate with more, which one you feel more joy with, and why. The first phrase, blank canvas. Second phrase, work in progress. Third phrase, your finished piece.
I would have to go with work in progress.
Why?
Because, well, on so many different levels that resonates. It's if you're looking at it from the artist's standpoint, we are as artists, we're always striving to be better, or we should be. If you're an artist that feels like you've attained all that you can and that you can't learn anything more, then that's not really a good place to be in. You should always be looking to improve. I heard two artists talking on a podcast similar to this one, and they were talking about the fact that an artist should never be good enough. And, because we're always looking for validation from someone else. It's like, am I good enough? Am I good enough to work for Disney? Am I good enough to work for, Pixar or for Marvel or whoever? And the answer to that is no. You're never going to be good enough. And that's not to say that you shouldn't try and go for those jobs or to do something great, but it's just to say that you're never going to be good enough in your own eyes, because you should always be striving to get better. If you paint a stroke or you draw a line, then you're always going to be looking at it and saying, you know what, I think I can do better next time. And you should push for that. But the moment you say, oh, that's good enough, then it's kind of like, dying a little bit. It's kind of like, maybe you should find something else to do. So, that phrase, now I've forgotten the way that you put the phrase.
Work in progress.
Yeah. So, we're all a work in progress, whether it be from an artistic standpoint or just within our lives. We should always be striving to do more, to do better. And it also talks about the time it takes. It's a progression. It's not going to happen overnight. We live in a microwave society, but things don't always go that way. Anything that's worth doing is going to take time to do it. I'm sure you've heard that before. So, all of these things come to mind when I think of work in progress.
All right, Jeff, we're going to close up this interview with one last question that I have for you. If you could go back and share with young kid Jeff, when he's doing these art pieces, before he starts, maybe teenage Jeff, maybe before he starts rationalizing art and trying to figure out how it can fit into the mainstream and saying, you know what, maybe I should do art, but maybe I should be a drafter. Maybe I should be a marketing person. If you could just talk to young Jeff and just encourage him to do art for art's sake, whether it's really you or just the young kids out there, what would you use? What words of encouragement would you use to help them along their journey of creating and just being okay with just making art for art's sake?
That's a good question. I think I would tell the younger me or a younger artist coming up that this journey that they're on is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a 100-yard dash. It's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes you get lucky. I use that word loosely. I don't really believe in luck, but sometimes things happen in a certain way and you get to a certain level, or someone sees your work and you feel like you've attained something. But for the most part, it's a long process to get to where you want to be. And then that place that you want to be may not be all that it was cracked up to be. So, it's about taking your time. It's about living in those moments and, taking it easy, taking it slow, relishing it, trying to get everything you can out of what you're learning at that time, and not so much worrying about what the end result is going to look like. Because for me, I wanted to be a comic book artist. I wanted to work on Spider-Man and the X-Men. And so that was kind of the road that I was heading down. And as I did research, as I learned the names of the artists that I admired and that I wanted to be like, somewhere along the line, I heard an artist complain that they were being slaves to the job and that they weren't really being paid what they were worth. And that when I heard that, it discouraged me from wanting to go down that path, because I said, man, I love comic books. I love to read them. And I just thought that the people that created them loved creating them as much as I loved reading them. And now this may have been one individual, and it maybe didn't represent the whole industry, but it kind of just soured me a little bit to that. And so I said, well, maybe I should find something else to do, you know, with money being a big issue in my mind at the time. And, you know, growing up now, I understand that passion is what's important. And usually when you find something that you do for free and you do it well, then a lot of times money can follow that. But, you know, it shouldn't be the driving force behind it. So, you know, those are some things that I would share with younger Jeff, is to, you know, stay the course, run the marathon, and not get tripped up by roadblocks and things.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. Now that I look back, and as I'm listening to this anew, you know, it's bringing up old feelings and emotions, thinking about where I've come from. I often could go back and beat myself up over not taking advantage of certain opportunities, just sitting on my talent for so long and not sharing it with the world, which I think is probably one of the biggest sins there is. But I'm not going to do that. Things happen the way they do, and we take from those experiences, and hopefully it makes us a better person going forward, you know, that we learn from them. That's the most important thing, is learning from your mistakes, learning from the decisions that you make, right or wrong. So I'm not at all ashamed of where I've come from, and, you know, that I put the brush or the pencil, as it were, down. I had a decent career as a graphic designer. So, you know, these are all things that I bring with me into my art career. And what you bring to the table, they give you a competitive advantage over the next person. Just some food for thought. Again, thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, God bless.